Tennessee Governor Lee signed the Tennessee Accommodations for All Children Act into effect. As we see, the double speak going on here. The bill requires schools to force students to use bathrooms in accordance with their assigned sex, which the bill defines as, quote, a person's immutable biological sex as determined by anatomy and genetics existing at the time of birth, end quote. First of all, nobody fucking uses genetics to assign sex at birth. That is just full up 100% bullshit. Like that just shows that how much of a sham this entire fucking bill is. Secondly, we can change anatomy, okay? It is not immutable. So like that's two accounts. Their argument is just fucking bullshit in this. The bill also adds, quote, a reasonable accommodation does not include access to a restroom or changing facility that is designated for use by members of the opposite sex while persons of the opposite sex are present or could be present, end quote. So pretty much it completely excludes the allowance for trans people. Like they're not seen as an exception or anything like that. They're not allowed. So it is just a blanket ban that's being passed. Now, shortly after, Governor Lee also signed into effect the Business Bathroom Bill, a bill that forces inclusive businesses to put out an offensive and humiliating sign. I've actually linked the sign. I think if I've got it in here, is there a photo of the sign? I should have got a photo of the sign. I meant to read it out, and that's one thing I can see if I can try finding it. Tennessee trans sign. I just want to be able to read it out exactly what it says because it is really dehumanizing. Yes, notice, this facility maintains a policy of allowing the use of restrooms by either biological sex, regardless of designation on the restroom. So again, it's just pretty much asserting that trans people are not who they say they are. You know, in spite of the facts that literally the bathroom signs are designated by a person wearing a dress and a person not wearing a dress, which is not imprinted in your fucking biology. That's just what the Tennessee government has decided to do. It's not a case of like businesses putting up no trans people allowed, but forcing those that do allow trans people to put up fucking dehumanizing signs. And again, all of this adds to a sort of climate. It just, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's. Okay, that's going to be what else I have. This provokes the Human Rights Campaign to release the following condemnation. Quote, Govley's decision to sign HB 1182 will cause real harm to transgender Tennesseans. Denying transgender people the ability to access a bathroom consistent with their gender identity is degrading and dehumanizing, and can have real health and safety consequences. Governor Lee and Tennessee lawmakers are determined to discriminate against the transgender community and roll back the clock on equality instead of focusing on the real problems facing Tennesseans. To be clear, Tennessee residents will suffer economic, legal, and reputational consequences of these bills, and we will hold those who are introducing hate into our laws accountable. Okay, this might be the bill that got passed just now, because I had noted there was currently, when I wrote this, there was at the time another bill that limits trans people's access to life-saving medical care that the governor was yet to act on. I don't know if that's the bill that's just been passed. I know there was one that was just passed like the other day. Tended to add to it the story yesterday night, but sadly I received some family news that just, yeah. But anything you'd like to say on the the two bills that we do have the information on?
One thing I do want to do is just take a moment to highlight and appreciate this definition here. The bill defines your assigned sex as a person's immutable biological sex as determined by anatomy and genetics existing at the time of birth. And I just want to appreciate how much specificity they have to put into this. Not just anatomy, they have to include genetics as well, because they realize that anatomy can change and it can just be ignored and stuff, and like they have to make room for the whole your chromosomes arguments.
But that doesn't even work. That's the thing.
Oh no,
like,
it doesn't work. It doesn't work on any level. I like the I mean, the thing is, they say anatomy and at time of birth, and that is enough anyway, because your sex is assigned based on your anatomy at birth. So the genetics thing just throws a wrench in how sex is actually assigned, which is ridiculous. But they have to put the genetics in there so that people can fall back on the Y chromosome being the true determinant of your real gender as decreed by the universe. But they have to also add existing at the time of birth, because they know like this stuff can be changed. So they have to lock it in at the doctor's decision at that time, because they know how easy it is to completely just ignore and scrap everything that your doctor said at the time of birth and just be like, yeah, no, that doesn't work for me. They are so desperate to lock you in. And even when they have complete control over the definition, they're tripping over their own feet with their own complete misunderstanding of how biology works. That they've thrown a wrench in their own definition. And this is, sometimes it's very funny watching, in a sad way, watching what lawmakers come up with when they're speaking on things that they don't understand in the slightest.
What it kind of reminds me of is a few years ago, there was a very regressive, I think they're all fucking regressive, very regressive anti-abortion bill that attempted to like define a fetus that like needs to be protected, like add like into the definition why it needs to be protected. And I think Rebecca Watson did a video on it in which she pointed out that the definition is so fucking broad that it includes a tapeworm. Like
this was defining male and female genders to try and prevent people from changing their gender. And the definition of it wasn't that the definition was broad, but the definition of female was so messed up and wrong, because of course the people making these laws are cis men who are very misogynistic and don't understand. It was so messed up, specifically the part about like, I think it was producing taking the ovaries out, I think, to provide eggs was what it said, something like that. And it was more accurate of a description of a deep sea worm than a human
I must have remembered.
Yeah, you did a bit. I just remembered it because I just was like, okay, my gender apparently is deep sea worm. Your choice of genders is male, undetermined, or deep sea worm.
It's just
That's the new genders just dropped. That's your 3 genders.
Like, it does remind me of the whole same attempts to like justify something by science.
It really does show like I have very little respect for lawmakers, and when I say very little, I mean less than none. And this is why is when stuff like this happens, you can tell it's like a kid who doesn't like that they're losing and insists on changing the rules and like writes these really ridiculous rules that make no sense, that basically boil down to I win. And it's like, you're 87, please do anything else with your life. When I can see how pathetic this is, that you have a problem because I don't know anything. You're supposed to be a professional. What are you doing?